Hello, everybody. All right, so this is a new thing for me. It's a live version of the podcast, and I had the distinct pleasure of being on Tobias's show last week. We just determined it was last week, and Tobias is a trainer of trainers. Tobias works with fitness coaches to have their businesses be more effective, and to whatever degree y'all are a fitness coach, great. This is definitely up your alley, but regardless of whether or not you're a fitness coach or any kind of coach, any kind of person that's out to be a contribution to another, Tobias is super insightful, unbelievably accomplished, and just a really, really good guy to talk to. So, Tobias, thanks so much for being on. Thanks for making your wisdom and your, all the history you have with coaching available to all the people watching. Just take a minute and introduce yourself. Tell us how you got to this point of being a coach of coaches.
Absolutely. Aaron, thank you so much for the warm intro, man. It's great to be here. And it all started, I'm just going to rewind time a little bit so you can kind of know, how I got to the stage that I'm at now. So fitness has always been a big part of my life. And the reason why it became a big part of my life is because I grew up without a father. So it was just me and my mom growing up. I didn't meet my dad even until I was 15. And growing up, my mom, unfortunately, was an alcoholic. We were moving around a lot. She didn't make a lot of money. And I didn't have a male role model to give me that positive influence on what to do and make the best decisions. So when I was 10 years old, my mom actually got me a big brother from the Big Brothers program. Great program. It was one of the biggest life changers that I've ever had. And one of the first things that he did was on my birthday, he actually got me a gym membership for my birthday. You could see that, man, I had a lot of potential. I had probably a lot of things built up and I just needed, a way to let loose of my steam. And so he got me some personal trainer lessons so that way I can kind of, know how to lift weights and do it all, effectively, because I was only like 11 and 12 years old when I was first starting to working out. And Elliot is his name. He's my big brother, and he was a former athlete. He did basketball and football, and he was, 6'3", big athlete. And I always wanted to kind of have, that athletic build. And I used to watch a show, and this is going to kind of date me. I'm sure, Aaron, you know this show very well. It's called The Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno.
Yes.
So I used to watch that show in a little teeny apartment when I lived in San Francisco, and I would walk around my house. I had a certain shirt that I would rip open, and I would just tear it off, and I would walk around, and I'd ask my mom, "Hey, don't make me mad because I'm going to turn green, and you don't want to see that." I kind of like the Incredible Hulk. And I was always just fascinated with strength and having that masculinity because I didn't have that in there. So that's how it all started. I got into working out. From there, I started to build confidence. My body started to change. I started to get into sports. I started to excel at a lot of different sports as well. And then later on, fast track as, growing up, and I wanted to get into fitness as a career-wise. So I started off as a personal trainer back in 1999. That was when I first got in the industry 27 years ago. And, within 3 months, I set sales records at the club and, quickly was promoted. And I started to help out some of the big corporate gym chains grow their fitness departments out. So Gold's Gym, In Shape Health Clubs, 24-hour fitnesses. I helped manage a lot of those different gym chains. And then during that time, I started to compete, and I was a bodybuilder and a physique athlete. And I did that for 16 years.
Wow.
And I started to get in the Muscle magazine. So like I was on the cover of 7 different magazines. So like Muscle Mag, and I was featured in Muscle and Fitness and those things. And so people used to be like, "Tobias, like, how do I get big biceps, or what diet should I have? And what do I do to get ripped abs?" And I would write them back, and I wanted to help everybody. And I'd be like, "Oh, here's some, tips. Here's a diet you can try. Here's a good workout routine." And I was doing it all for free because I genuinely had a love for helping people. But over time, I was like, man, like, I can't keep doing all this work for free. And then what I found out too is when I would give people free advice, they would never follow it. But like if I would charge somebody, then they would like magically start to do it because they actually, when you pay attention to it. So I was like, man, I got to create a business out of this. And I didn't have the online background at the time. I didn't know how to do online marketing or anything. So I started to, build a website myself and try to funnel people in there. And I did okay. I was still managing gyms. I was doing online training then part-time. This was back before online training was like a thing. And then finally I was like, you know what? I really want to take this big. I want to have more free time with my 2 daughters. I want to have more time with my wife. Because I was living in the gym all day long and tired, and I wanted to get back that freedom. And so I hired some business coaches to help me take my business and really grow that exponentially. And thank goodness, because I didn't even have the money at the time I put it on a credit card. But then it came back to me, and I started to grow my business. I started to know, learn lead generation. I started to learn how to build an offer and sales processes out, and all the deliverability, and creating, unique mechanisms, and getting clients amazing results instead of just like Excel spreadsheets and things. So that's literally how the business started to take off. I started to do online training, and I've been doing that for the last 17 years. And then 7 years ago, I connected with one of my friends that we used to manage gyms together. And he was like, hey, Tobias, I'm coaching trainers now, and I'm teaching them how to build an online business. I know you're very successful as an online trainer. Hey, would you come in to one of my group coaching calls and maybe run a couple of them, just give them some insights on what you did? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. So I came in and I blew everybody away with some of the things. And I'm like, oh my God, we want to have you back. So he actually asked me, hey, we should partner up on this, and we should actually grow this business together. And I was like, you know what, that would be cool. At first I was hesitant because I love the fitness coaching, but then I was like, you know what, this would be great. And so then what happened was I helped grow that business. It's called TNT Fit Pro Coaching exponentially. And then he kind of phased out. He got into doing some other stuff, crypto and all that stuff. And I just took over the business, and I just been working on scaling that. So that, in a simple context that got expanded, was how I got from a little kid working out into where I'm at today.
Nice. All right. Really great. So talk to me about, what were the lessons you learned from going from in-person? So this is for any trainer, right? So first of all, if you're watching this live and you want to get on the chat and you want to ask him how to get bigger biceps, I know he doesn't do personal training anymore, but if you're on the live and you want to know how to do it, go ahead, throw it in the chat and I will find it. But in the meantime, right, you help other trainers now from, what's the biggest lessons when you move from doing the thing to training the people that do the thing?
Yeah.
You're no longer training people, but you're now training the trainers to do the thing. Talk to me about that transition.
Yeah. And there's a few different shifts that need to take place when you go from in-person training to online. Okay. One of the biggest mistakes that I made in the very beginning was thinking that I can train anybody and everybody. Because when I was in the gyms, anybody who came in, whether they were a professional athlete, whether it was a woman that just had a baby, whether it was a guy that wanted to get jacked, whether it was somebody that wanted to compete, I knew how to train them all, and I wanted to train them all, and I was very good at that. But when it came to online, when I tried to market to those multiple different type of niches, what happened was it pushed everybody in a way. And I was like, why is this happening? Because I was thinking I'll get more people by posting about more types of people that I can work with. But what happens is when I'm posting about getting rock hard, biceps and chiseled abs and all that stuff, because I'm trying to attract that type of guy, then my next post, I'm like, hey, I want to help those women that just had a baby that don't have confidence. And maybe they want to tone their butt up again and lose the baby pouch that happened. When the guy is seeing me talk about toning up a butt and losing a baby pouch, they're like, Tobias, you're not for me, man. And when that woman is seeing me post about getting big biceps and chiseled abs, she's like, that's scary. I don't want that. I want somebody who really caters towards me. And so when I finally realized, and I had to have a business coach tell me this, is like, dude, choose one niche, one big problem, and then build a solution to that. Once I did that, then things really started taking off. So that was one of the first big lessons that I had to learn, was really narrowing down my niche.
Yeah, that's such a big one for people, because I find when I work with anyone in certainly, so when I work with realtors, which is a big part of my business, determining a niche always occurs like you're going to lose business.
Yeah,
narrowing down means I'm going to cut some people out, and that's accurate, but you can't be for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If you're for everybody, you're for nobody.
Yeah. That's the thing too. And people want somebody that's going to be very specific and specialized towards helping them with that very specific problem. If you have a general thing that you want help with, like, yeah, a general fitness coach can work. If it's just like, hey, I just want to start, just getting in shape, like no clear audience. Those people are generally going to be a lower price point, obviously not have a big pain point. The more the person has a pain point, the more they're going to pay to get out of that pain, and the more they're going to want somebody that specializes in that particular thing. So, for example, if you have a little bit of a headache, Aaron, you're like, man, I got a little bit of a headache. You go to the doctor and they're like, hey, man, take some extra strength ibuprofen. You'll be fine, right? But what if you go in there and they're like, oh my gosh, I got to tell you, Aaron, you have a brain tumor. We're going to have to operate to save your life. Like, we got to cut open your brain. I got to get you with a specialist. You're not going to have your general doctor open up and do brain surgery on you. You're going to have a brain surgeon, and you're going to want a good one, right? And it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to have that done, but you don't care because it's a bigger problem that you have. It's the same thing that correlates when you work with the right type of online trainer as well. You're going to want to have somebody that's very, very specialized if you have a big specific problem.
Good. How do people figure out their niche? So move out of just fitness trainers, because like I said, there's a limited number of fitness trainers listening.
Yeah.
But when you're talking to people in general, right, coaches in general, what's the best way to narrow your niche? How do you work with people in that?
Yeah, so it's going to be one of two ways. It's either going to be somebody that you really, really relate to, and you're like, man, I would love to have more of these type of people. Maybe you've coached them in some other fashion before, and maybe you've coached people on, 5 different types of things, but you're like, hey, the people that I help with this one type of thing, like, they're my best clients. That's one way to choose your niche. The other one that works with a lot of people is going to be a former version of yourself. Like, who are you before you started struggling with these things? Like, if it's a business, right? And you're like, man, I used to struggle. I used to want to create video content. I didn't know what to do. I was YouTubing everything. And then finally I found this, and I did this, and this, and this. And now I'm directing video. Like then you're going to know exactly the frustration that happens. You're going to know exactly the first step they should take, the second step, the third step. And you're going to be able to help that person more than, somebody who hasn't gone through that, same type of pain point. So those are usually the 2 type of ways that you find your niche. There's other ways, but those are the 2 biggies.
Yeah, I find it most useful to, so I think one of the big mistakes people make is go, okay, well, what's the most profitable niche? And you wind up with brand new agents trying to do luxury. Okay, well, that's not ever going to work. No one's buying a $4 million house from a 19-year-old that's never sold a house.
Yeah.
That's not a viable niche. Just not. So and in my business, you don't even need to own your own house. Plenty of realtors don't own their own house. There's some question about whether that's, a good sign or a bad sign. But regardless, it was a long time before I bought a house. It's not one for one, but it's where can you relate? Where will people know, like, and trust you? Where are people going to trust you like that? Yeah. What, any particular way you have found for people to validate or to test their niche that works?
Yeah. So when you put something out, is make it a little bit more broad in the very beginning. Some people get so narrowed in. They're just like, well, I want to help out with 20 to 22-year-olds who focus on this and and who go to church and who like have a divorce and have 2 kids. Like, it's too hard in the very beginning if you try to narrow down and you don't even have an audience yet. So initially is like, go a little bit more broad, like still have your basic niche that you want to work with, but go a little bit more broad. And then you're going to put out the type of content that's going to resonate to help that person solve a problem. And then from there, you're going to see who is relating most to your content. Those type of people that are like, you may think it's like guys are going to be your niche that are struggling with X, but in reality, it might be like women that are struggling with Y. And you start to get more inbound messages and you start to sign some of those clients up. And then you might pivot your niche depending upon who is really, attracted to your offer that you have and your type of content. And obviously you can go into social media and you can view your insights and you can see, hey, are they men? Are they women? Are they this age group? Where are they from? So there's different things you can kind of see to get some of those statistics too, besides just like, the call booking things. But ultimately it's going to be, hey, who is connecting with you, like when you're on
Yeah.
calls and who's so forth buying your product or, booking calls with you.
Yeah. And I find that super important, and people they don't have the cognitive flexibility to move from their desired niche or their first grasp at what their niche is to reading the data. In real estate, it's getting attached to the price of your house or getting attached to this vertical, this way of doing things, this thing versus I'm going to put my toe in the water here. And then I'm going to tune. It's a fire, aim, fire, aim, fire, aim, which also prevents the whole getting ready to get ready phenomena. Fire, aim, way better. And you got to be willing to, hey man, I don't work with the people like me, but the people that resonate with me are this group of people. So, I took my shot. I got, planned on going in that direction. And then I listened to the universe. I listened to what the signals were. I moved consistent with the way that, the way it looked like that needed to go.
Yeah. And that brings up a great point, Aaron, too, because I think a lot of people, when they start to get into some type of online sales, no matter what it is, if it's homes or if it's something else, they try to look and they try to say, oh, this person was super successful at it. Let me act like them. Let me talk like them. Let me walk like them. Let me look like them. But it's not you. It's not authentic. Like when you are yourself, if you swear, hey, swear in your content. If you don't, and you're funny and you crack jokes, hey, be that person. Like you have to just be the person that you are. And the right tribe is naturally going to gravitate towards you. Because the last thing you want to do is like try to act like somebody else that's not you. And then when they finally get into your program or, start working with you, they're gonna be like, hey, that's not the same person that was on that social media content. And then you guys don't vibe. Whereas on the flip side, if you show your authentic self and you be who you want to be, you're going to love it because you're going to have fun as you're doing it and you're creating content, and you're going to bring in people that absolutely love that type of personality too.
Yeah, that's such a big deal. And that's, again, sort of where mindfulness or where a mindful approach to things shows up or becomes an opportunity is, what is it to be true to oneself? What is it to listen to the signs of the universe? What is it to trust that it's all working out in your favor and looking to see who those people are? Like the people that show up when you are in that space are the people you're meant to be working with.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really smart, really a very authentic approach to doing it,
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an example of where where you were fully yourself? You had a question about sharing this one thing, or I know I'm putting you on the spot, so you may say, no, I don't have an example. It's okay. But, where you were like hesitant to put something out there and then you put it out there and it wound up attracting just the right person.
Yeah. I mean, in the very beginning, when I first got into business coaching, I was trying to be too formal. And even, back in the days, even before that, I was trying to be too, more formal. I was like trying to be super professional. I was too rigid. I didn't show my personality. Like I'm a guy that has a lot of energy, very vibrant. I like to have fun. I joke around, all those type of things in there, but I wasn't doing that. And so I wasn't as happy when I was actually creating content and when I was actually doing my coaching. And as soon as I started just to have fun, it started to slip into my coaching calls. Like some people obviously were like, but the right people were like, T, where have you been? Like, this is so cool. I love this. Like, I love your coach. I love your energy, your vibes. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start to just be myself. And as soon as I start to do that, everything started to open up. Your content gets better. Your clients get better. Your conversion process gets better. Your sales go up. Yeah. And you attract more people that you would love to work with ultimately.
Great. And when you work with coaches, do you have there must be some way you work with people that are, I know it happens all the time. People that are tight on camera, don't want to put themselves on camera, don't want to do the video content, don't want to do all that. And I'm always, dude, they're going to see you eventually. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about what you look like. They're going to see you at some point. So you might as well put it out there. But what do you do to loosen people up, to get people shooting that content? What do you do to have people be their authentic self?
Yeah, I mean, initially it's just making sure their setup is right, right? There's always going to be light to the front of you instead of behind you. You'll see some people when they
Yeah.
first start video content, they'll like go behind a bright light or window and it's like dark shadow on them and stuff. And, if they're doing any type of content in here, they might be like in a busy, crowded area. You can't even hear what they're saying. So I'm like, hey, use a lavalier, like little things in there. You guide them so they sound good and they look good and they build the confidence. From there, it's building the right type of strategy. And then making them feel confident in what they're going to say. So thinking about helping people as opposed to making sales. I think too many people, when they get on camera, they're like, what should I say that's gonna get somebody in my program or get them to buy my thing?
Right.
You can't think like that. You're like, how can I give value to the person that's struggling with this thing next? That's what you want to think of. And the first thing I tell people is just look directly into the camera, okay? Because a lot of times they're looking down and they're reading a script or just like looking down here, but the camera's up here. I'm like, look into the camera. And I want you to think that you're talking to your best friend. Like if you were just breaking this down in a completely casual conversation, how would you say it? I want you to look into their eyes or pretend like it's me and just explain things, but be calm, be slow, don't talk too fast. A lot of times when you first get on, camera, you go twice as fast and you just like jam through all this and it doesn't sound authentic. So it's just keeping those simple things in mind and then you're going to feel great. And I want everybody to think about this when you're doing video content, especially if you're newer to creating video content. It may not be good in the very beginning and you have to think it is okay. It's a matter of getting repetitions. For example, let's just say you want to get good at basketball. You're not going to, the first day that you grab a basketball, be able to dribble behind your back and do between your legs and shoot, 3-pointers and free throws. No, it's practice. Maybe you step in there and you start throwing bricks every shot and you're missing all your shots. But what happens a week later? You start to make some of those shots. Then you get better and you get better and you get better. The same things happen with video content. Your first video, nobody's going to remember. It's okay. But by the time you've made 50 videos and gotten all those reps in, you're going to be pretty damn good because you've gotten some good repetition in, just anything in general.
Yeah, good. I think it's really, that's the same thing for training. That's the same thing for everything. Everything's hard till it's easy. That's all there is to it. You're not going to be good at anything in the beginning. That's just how that is. All right, we'll talk a little bit about you said you had 3 businesses, dude. That's a lot. Yeah. Let's let people know the 3 things you got going that if they wanted to participate with you in some way, what are the 3 things that you got?
Yeah, so my newest venture is My Trainer Connect, and that's going to be launching within the upcoming weeks, maybe by the time this podcast goes out. And it's going to be the first platform in the US, marketing platform, or marketplace platform, I should say, that's finally going to bridge the gap for clients and trainers to be able to connect. Because right now, what's a trainer going to have to do to get a client? They're going to have to dance on TikTok and make a million videos and all that stuff. And a lot of trainers don't like to do that, right? And so the trainer now can build out programs and put their bios and things inside of this marketplace. And then through AI, it's going to match the right client up with the right trainer. So the clients that are looking for a specialized trainer now are going to be able to be perfectly matched up, whether it's in person or online. And there's a whole social media feed. So that's coming soon. So if you want to get in on the wait list, go to mytrainerconnect.com. That's business 1. Business 2 is TNT Fit Pro Coaching. This is my mentorship and where I help online fitness coaches, trainers, and gym owners scale their business past $10,000 per month. Okay, so it's a combination of group and one-on-one coaching with a whole systematic approach. We use what's called my 9X Ascend method to help them do it fast and efficient. Third is, and you can go to tntfitprocoaching.com for more info on that. And third is the CRM that helps bridge that gap from a trainer which trying to do everything on their own to actually having systems in place. It's called Fit Pro Solution. It's the full CRM with email automation, funnels, websites, all catered towards a fitness type of coach, and being able to build out their whole back-end system. That way they can scale and finally step out of the business instead of working so hard in the business.
That's awesome. That's great, Tobias. I really, and obviously you're a person of high energy and your opportunity, the opportunity to work with you and get, obviously, if you're a fitness coach, you're the guy to work with, but just that space of drive and never giving up and the opportunity to hone your craft, niche down till you find your niche and hone your craft is just really, really completely useful for anybody, no matter what their field is. So how do people get a hold of you if they want to reach out?
Yeah, the easiest place to go is just go to tntfitprocoaching.com, and then you can book a discovery call with me. We can jam. We can take a look at, your business from a macro perspective and see, hey, what's working, what's not working, where do you need help? And I'll give you my honest opinion on where the bottlenecks are, if I can help, if I can't help, and then from there we can kind of take the next steps.
Fabulous. All right, great. Well, Tobias, thank you so much for your time and being that kind of enthusiastic contribution to people. I really appreciate your being here. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks for having me. And I want to say, Aaron, thank you for all that you do, because you do an amazing job. Great guest on podcasts. The only thing that I don't like is that Seahawks, because I'm a Niner fan. But besides that, hey, you're all good.
Oh, my dude. Well, I would have had a cigar and smoked it on the show like we did in your fucking locker room. That would have been excellent. Twice. We got to do that twice. All right, good. All right, thanks, Tobias.